All right, good. All right, so mindfulness, this book, tell me, what was it? And people often talk about when they're writing that it's something that's coming through them, or was it something like that for you? Was it an external or an internal thing that moved you to write this book?
Well, in some way, it's the expression of the last 45 years of my practice and of my teaching, because it's all based on one discourse of the Buddha,
Mm-hmm.
in which the Buddha laid out the whole path of mindfulness practice,
Mm-hmm.
leading to awakening. And so I've been teaching this and practicing it my whole adult life. A few years ago, I read a book by a German monk, a wonderful book,
Mm-hmm.
about this discourse. And it was a little more scholarly than this one
Right.
is, but it inspired me to give a series of talks on this discourse. And I thought originally that I would give 4 or 5 talks on it. This is at our meditation center. I ended up giving 47 talks
Wow.
because as I got into it and really unpacking it line by line, I just saw the tremendous wealth
Mm-hmm.
of teachings in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the book really came out of that.
Mm. And so, for you, someone who studied Buddhism and studied a lot of these texts, what?
Studied the key word really is practice.
Ah, okay.
So it's studying it in one sense of learning about it, but then it's really about putting it into practice, both in meditation formally, but then in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the word practice better than study.
Okay, so you've been practicing, but what about this particular interpretation really, resonated with you that you thought, I'm going to do 47 lectures on this now. There's something about it. What was it
Well, it
about
is
it?
it is the core teaching of the Buddha in
Right.
terms of how to awaken, how to free the mind. And so it has a very important role. And I had been reading this text and teaching from it for a long time, but I never went into this kind of line by line
Ah,
description of how we can apply it.
yeah,
And that's what was exciting about this book, to really look at it in that detail
yeah,
and see the practical application of it.
yeah. It's kind of cool that someone who's been practicing for as long as you have can kind of read it and still have a aha, like,
Oh yeah,
wow.
yes, yeah. And when you really start, paying attention to the nature of the mind and awareness, it's vast.
Yeah,
It's a lifetime is not enough to
yeah,
fully explore it.
yeah. All right, so another question. So when you think about when you've been coach or presenting at Bari these 47 lectures, what's the response? I mean, what do you think is the need out there for the people who've been sitting, the Buddhists who are sitting in your audience? What do you sense is what they're looking for? What do they need?
Right. Well, first, just to say that not everybody who comes to the meditation center would necessarily think of themselves as a Buddhist,
Oh, okay,
even though the teachings come from the Buddha.
okay.
But it's really about understanding the mind and the development of mindfulness or awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had people committed to many spiritual traditions. We've had priests come and rabbis, and
Huh,
because it's a technology of understanding.
huh.
Some people are committed to the Buddhist. They might call
Right.
themselves that, but it's not limited to that.
So
And it's
what?
really about people wanting to just come to a deeper understanding of themselves and to alleviate different kinds of distress, different kinds of unease and
Yeah.
suffering, in their minds and their lives.
So I went to something called Wisdom 2.0, and the
Uh-huh.
whole section was on mindfulness. It's now
Yeah,
become a buzzword.
I know.
What don't we understand about mindfulness? Is there any part of it, as it's become more popularized, that we just don't truly get, or that we've kind of contorted thoughts about it?
Yeah, I think it's easy to have a superficial understanding of it. For example, if you ask somebody, perhaps what does mindfulness means, they might say, well, it means being in the present
Mm-hmm.
or living in the present moment,
Mm-hmm.
and that's part of it. But that's just the foundation,
Mm-hmm.
because we can be in the present without um, without a mindful attention. For example, sometimes I think of, the dogs, black labs.
Mm-hmm.
They're very playful. They're running
Yeah.
around. They're in the present.
Yeah.
but they're not being mindful.
Yeah, I can just look at a couple of messes in my front yard and know
Exactly.
they're not being mindful.
Exactly. So mindfulness means being in the present in a certain way.
Yeah,
And that is knowing actually what we're aware of without reactivity. And
yeah,
that's a key point.
yeah,
Because we could even recognize what's in the present moment, but we could be recognizing it with anger, with fear, with desire, with wanting.
yeah,
And through that filter in that moment, we're really not being mindful.
yeah, and it's
So mindfulness means
yeah,
being aware without that reactivity of mind, a
yeah.
non-judgmental quality of mind.
You know, when I was reading your book on mindfulness, a practical guide to awakening, I there was a section on sloth and torpor.
Mm-hmm.
And, I thought, there have been times when I had just got a massage and I thought, there's been no more, this is the pinnacle of being mindful because I'm so relaxed and so zen. But I really wasn't mindful.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't conscious. I was just
Right.
relaxed. And
Right.
I was what your book would say. I was in sloth and torpor,
Right.
thinking I was
Well,
mindful.
well, that's where the mind went more to the tranquility side than the alert
Right.
side.
Yes.
And that's why there needs to be, in mindfulness, there's a balance between the two. So the relaxation part is good.
Right.
The calm is good, the stillness is good. But without the alertness, one can tend towards sleep
Right.
or sleepiness. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that when I hear people talking about mindful, that's the part that I hear that, it's the calm, what did you say is the motto of Bari? Calm,
Tranquil and alert.
tranquil, and alert.
So it need both.
Yeah, you need both. And I think
Yeah.
that was the key piece that I think I
Yeah.
was missing that this book. So we're going to be going on break. We have Joseph Goldstein, who is one of the first Vipassana teachers here in the U.S. and also co-founder of the Insight Meditation Center. We were talking about his book, Mindfulness, A Practical Guide to Awakening. We'll be